we attract all kinds of people to the prosperity movement, from high-level professionals, millionaires. Then we also have a lot of people coming through that are like credit score below 650. The big part is that skill sets are everything. Powerful skill sets that I believe there is in marketing and sales. And okay, well, if you're married, that was one of the biggest sales of your entire life. We're always in a constant exchange of time, money, and energy. I always say the bigger the problem, the bigger the payoff, the bigger the solution, the bigger the salary. So getting to the trading part, if you're going in front of the markets thirsty, if you're going in front of the markets in a mindset where this is do or die, all my eggs in one basket, that kind of stress, we've got to find a way for you to get to a place of overflow in your heart and mind so that you can be effective in front of the charts. And they might need you to take a real good look inward and start shifting like Gary V's change your lifestyle, man. Like why do you feel you need all the things that you need right now? Why do you feel that like that's important? You start scaling back. So you need to start doing a proper analysis on yourself. 4 big skill sets. This goes in relationships. This goes in business. This will go with your trading too. Flexible thinking. Having a flexible thinking pattern instead of an all or nothing thinking thing. All or nothing thinking in front of the charts is going to be really conflicting for you. Emotions. You got to have moderate emotions instead of extreme emotions. Behavior. Moderate behavior instead of extreme behavior. Genuinely my favorite thing to see when we see people coming in here having struggled elsewhere and they come over here and they see a different experience. And even in the beginning here, you know, we had to help shake bad habits and we get them on the straight and narrow. We get them on the path of measuring and managing properly. And to see people that were struggling before are now in a different place. And then that last point of the 4 big skills is checking oneself. It's an inward. Instead of pointing outward all the time and blaming someone else, it's your direct reflection. Your results of what you are experiencing in your life right now is a direct reflection of the way that you are perceiving your scenario and how you're reacting versus responding, what have you.
So what are the secrets? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs find the freedom that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do entrepreneurs like us align our time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this community will give you the answers. Welcome to the Prosperity Movement.
Let's get this party started. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Prosperity U podcast. We love to come in here and talk about what we can observe in terms of success, building legacy, how we position and prioritize life ourselves, and what that looks like on the other side, and how our members, more importantly, how all of our community is doing the same and the results that they get to see as well. So today we're going to talk about basically, you know, it's no secret that there's a lot of hyperinflation going on, right? And so today we're going to talk about how to maximize your trading profits and build a sustainable financial future no matter how high the cost of living gets. Okay, because it is still going up. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. How do you fight that? In fact, I would say we get a lot of people that come in and asking about trading as their way of, I got to do something, right? And so they start to investigate what are the opportunities out there. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that here today. So real quick, Travis, I'll just ask you. So I would say pre-COVID.
Is he you guys stuck, or am I stuck?
It's definitely you. Brian, you were like delayed. Are you back?
You were. I blame you. Either that or this Canadian internet.
I think it's the Canadian internet.
I'm pretty sure.
Zach and I have stellar connections.
Yeah. It's
all
okay.
right.
It's all right. So pre-COVID, there was this thought process. COVID was a big eye-opener for a lot of people. They were laying off people that were considered non-essential, which was terrible messaging, by the way. To call someone not essential is pretty awful, in my opinion. Pre-COVID, however, people were looking at opportunities like trading, marketing, business ownership they almost kind of looked at it like you're taking the risky route, right? And the job was the secure route. What do you think about that, Travis?
The concept of job security,
Yeah.
workforce. Gosh, man, that is such an open-ended question. Where to even begin? I agree. Before COVID, it was a completely different atmosphere, and as far as building out your own business, especially online business or trading, learning that kind of thing, Amazon, becoming an insurance sales rep and such, like et cetera, et cetera. I mean, even just like funnels and click funnels in that time frame between 2017 and 2020 was on a rise, and then 2020 came in and everyone realized, holy crap, if any one of my pieces of my puzzle become loose, then my entire puzzle dissolves. Right? It just, I think it revealed a lot of really big bottlenecks and blind spots that people didn't realize that they had, even with the security of their job. Which, as we realized, if the government decides that they just want to say, you know what, never mind, I don't think so, then you're SOL. You don't go to work. Often, a lot of people didn't get paid or were terminated. I mean, it really, really flipped the economy, and all of a sudden, it really paints a picture of do I really have job security? Now, some people legitimately do. Okay, like that actually does, it presents itself, but there are a lot of people that are alive today. I mean, there's 8 billion people and stuff, specifically in the United States and Canada. Somewhere, how many people are in Canada, Brian? We have like 350 million people here, roughly.
You guys have way more than us. I think like in Canada we like have like
Like
hold
2,000
on.
people, right? So
No, we got 38.93 million. So like there you guys have like in some states where you guys have more people in one state than we do in our entire country. That's
Yeah.
great.
more people in the city.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's like 400, 500 million people or so just in the North America that are really exposed to this, these business opportunities, the land of the free, right? And trying to build more things. But they realized really quickly that it's not all rainbows and butterflies. And so the idea of diversification, like one of the concepts that we and most people should teach, right, is that you don't put all your eggs in one basket, but you have job security, and then you basically put all your eggs in that basket. Maybe you put a little bit in a 401k or a Roth IRA or something. Sure, some people try and do that, but even that's not really working very well these days based off of taxes, inflation, overall economics and such. And so now everyone's panicking, like, what the heck do I do? Well, as you mentioned, you've got to figure out how to make more money, okay, first and foremost, and get that cash flow going. It doesn't have to be a lot more. And then you have to learn the concept of the velocity of money, of keeping it moving and diversifying, just like banks do. The banks don't just take your money and put it into some little vault and hold it there for you. They reinvest it in multiple different ways, making what's called spreads. They arbitrage it and stuff. And that's not the point of this podcast, to really dive into what that means. But what we want you to understand is that you should figure out a few sources of income and how to continue to invest it and keep it moving. The more you move your money, the better. The more stagnant it is, the worse. I mean, that's just the most general rule of thumb. Am I hitting on anything that you wanted to talk about, Zach? Because that was a really broad question.
100%. I trusted you. I trusted your answer. It was good. No, I think you're right. Money does want to move. So it's called cash flow, not cash stagnant. Like it's meant to flow. For your benefit. You think about, like, first off, there's financial habits that have changed as well since COVID. A lot, not as much impulsive buying. I would say there's still impulsive buying. Of course, we're consumers. That's what happens. but not as much. People are being wiser, I would say, generally. And what's interesting is people that find trading as a potential resource for them, they're being very wise by doing so. And then if you were to look under the hood of their budget, their money habits, and those kinds of things, sometimes it's like financial quicksand. It's like you're finding more opportunities to make money, great, but like you gotta manage what's happening. And something that I've kind of noticed is that our traders, the ones who have an outstanding, like organized, somewhat responsible budget versus the ones that don't, that reflects in their actual trading behaviors. So if they've got a quicksand budget, their trading is pretty sporadic, a little bit greedy, a little bit too hungry, versus people that they understand like, hey, I got to manage my money and my emotions. All of a sudden, they're trading a little bit better. But anyway, so what
So
kind of
you're linking basic budgeting to overall efficiency and effectiveness of trading as well. Is that what you're saying?
yeah? I think generally speaking, the habits of some day-to-day things actually affects your trading. It's funny how James is such a good trader, and I'll bet you I wouldn't be too far off to say part of it is because he views himself as lazy. But he does we know he's not lazy, right? But what he'll do is he always says, well, I have a goal every time I wake up in the morning. I want to do as little as possible, and then I want to slacken off in the afternoon. Okay, so but it's because of that attitude is why he doesn't push buttons unnecessarily, right? He's like, I only want an easy trade. I don't want to struggle in a trade. I want to find something that's crystal clear, super easy, and then just take it to the bank. Um, so I think a reason that people struggle with emotions in trading is because financial stress. It's a tough one, right? I read a study once. It was like brain chemicals like cortisol. Is it cortisol is the stress chemical? It doesn't tell the difference between someone having a gun to your head or how am I going to pay the electric bill? You know what I mean? Like it's actually the same chemical in your brain, and that's why financial struggles can often feel somewhat life and death, the uncertainty that a lot of people have. Brian, what do you think is something that people can do if they are feeling kind of stressed, whether it's in their trading accounts or otherwise for finances?
What they can do for trading or outside of trading or like
Yeah, both. Yeah, what are
so
some cool ideas?
well, first of all, I don't think that if you're there's a couple of things that go through my mind here. So like there's a lot of people we attract all kinds of people to the prosperity movement, from doctors to lawyers to high level professionals, millionaires, like Andrew Cheeseman is like slated to like he was talking about retiring between 40, 50 or something, $60 million or something like that. Guys like that are coming through, but then we also have a lot of people coming through that are like credit score below 650, and there's just no way of them like they can't even scrape together $200 to $300 a month to pay for tuition here. And typically in those scenarios, I express to people like you shouldn't be trading because if you can't even come up with the money to put into a trading account, which is not typically a lot. We recommend that people don't start with more than $500 to $1,000. We've seen as low as 50. The big part is that skill sets are everything. I talk about this a lot. The concept of back in the day, we our whole point here in prosperity movement is to help families across the nations to drive more impact and income so they can do more of the things they love with the people they love most. Back in the day, we used to have a nurturer at home and a hunter gatherer, and now everybody's hunting and gathering, mom and dad both, and our kids are being raised by teachers, unfortunately, the school system. And that's hard. That's super incredibly hard. And like you said, the spending habits and all that kind of stuff. So like what are some inward things that people can start doing and then get to a point where you're building on skill sets? One of the most powerful skill sets that I believe there is influence. And so like that's marketing and sales. And I believe again that we are all in marketing and sales. And if anybody disagrees with me, I'm going to start asking things like, are you married? And a lot of people are going to say, yeah, I'm married. Okay, well, if you're married, that was one of the biggest sales of your entire life. We're always in a constant exchange of time, money, and energy. And that's what trading is. You're making an exchange, right? You're trading. Right? So like but in terms of like if you're not in the position to trade, I would highly recommend that people get into a position where they're jumping into to skills like sales is a really great place to be. Finding, I always say, the bigger the problem, the bigger the payoff, the bigger the solution, the bigger the salary. So if you can find a big problem that you can fill a big gap with, and hopefully it's something that you're passionate about at the same time that you're easily able to connect with people on, then that's a very easy way to start transferring time, money, and energy in a way that is going to be effective and impactful for you. Now, in terms of like getting to the trading part, if I've heard the term thirsty, like if you're going in front of the markets thirsty, if you're going in front of the markets in a mindset or a mind frame where this is do or die, all my eggs in one basket, that kind of stress, we've got to find a way for you to get to a place of overflow in your heart and mind so that you can be effective in front of the charts. And yeah, so like that goes with anything and everything. And that might mean where you're talking about like their spending habits, they might need to take a real good look inward and start shifting like Gary Vee talks about, like, change your lifestyle, man. Like why do you feel you need all the things that you need right now? Why do
Yeah.
you feel that like that's important? You start scaling back, right? Like, hey, we're out of shape. What am I going to do to get in shape to feel, well, I'm gonna start shaving things and carving things out of the equation and start putting proper things in the equation, right? So you need to start doing a proper analysis, inward analysis on yourself. Um, Four big skill sets that I think across the board for anyone and anyone. This goes in relationships, this goes in business, this goes in this will go with your trading too. Flexible thinking, having a flexible thinking pattern instead of an all or nothing thinking, because all or nothing thinking will get you into trouble left, right, and center no matter what. If you're having a conversation with somebody, you're all or nothing thinking, and like you're putting people in a corner, like that all or nothing thinking is very conflicting. And so that's the same thing. All or nothing thinking in front of the charts is going to be really conflicting for you. So a flexible thinking, keeping an open heart and open mind, emotions. You got to have moderate emotions instead of extreme emotions. Behavior, moderate behavior instead of extreme behavior. We see extreme behaviors in front of the charts quite well, I think in our community it's getting a lot better. I mean,
Yeah.
we're seeing some big shifts since you've introduced the small group coaching, and it's been a lot of fun to see that the community of people that were struggling before, like it's my favorite thing to see. Genuinely my favorite thing to see when we see people coming in here having struggled elsewhere and they come over here and they see a different experience. And even in the beginning here, we had to help shake bad habits and we get them on the straight and narrow. We get them on the path of measuring and managing properly. And to see people that were struggling before and even, maybe even a little bit with us for a bit with some consistency and resilience are now in a different place. It's so much fun seeing guys like Shane. Like, how cool is it to see Shane sharing his results recently? Like,
Yeah.
and how long has he been at it? He was with another organization before this, losing thousands upon thousands of dollars, frustrated beyond heavens. Comes over here, had a lot of bad habits. Met with you in person, Zach. Went through a lot to get to a point of consistency of where he's at right now. So, but and then that last point of the four big skills is checking oneself. It's an inward instead of pointing outward all the time and blaming someone else. It's your direct reflection. Your results of what you are experiencing in your life right now is a direct reflection of the way that you are perceiving your scenario and how you're reacting versus responding, what have you.
Yep. Your beliefs, habits, behaviors, whatever that you had that brought you to where you are is not what's going to get you out of where you are. There is a massive change that needs to happen that doesn't have to be so big, right?
Mm.
Like I'm reading the pretty popular book Atomic Habits right now. I'm like, yeah, I like this guy's style because he's saying a lot of things that we talk about as well, and he puts it very well together into this one book, just talking about how do you start making these small incremental changes that become really big. It's called atomic habits for a reason, because atoms are very small, right? So you make these small tweaks that can over time produce really, really large results, right? The idea of like getting 1% better each day versus if you get 1% worse, but by the time after 1 year, you're 36, 37 times better in whatever area you're categorizing. And if you're going negative, though, you can only get so close to zero. So it's like those little things that we do that we don't even realize are detrimental are keeping us at this baseline standard. That's just, it's not what people are wanting. It's not easy to be there, and it's not easy to learn other things and get out of there, right? But you get to choose which hard you're going to accept ultimately. Right. You get to choose if it's going to be harder for you to live because of the economy, or you're going to choose if it's harder for you to go through and learn different skill sets that are going to boost you out of where you are now. Right. But it doesn't have to be learn everything today and next month you see all the results that you want. It's stupid. And that's what people do, again, like going to the gym, as they start getting on the scale day one, week one, and then they don't wait long enough. And the idea behind it is very well said in Atomic Habits. The guy says, imagine you have an ice cube and it's at 20 degrees, which for Brian, it's in Celsius and stuff, right? We're talking about Fahrenheit. 20 degrees, ice is not going to melt. Ice melts at above 32 degrees, right? And so let's imagine that every day you increase the temperature of the ice by 1 degree, and then after 10 days, you're at 30 degrees, and you're like, all the hell with it, I'm going to be done. It was like only 2 more steps, and it would have been where you needed to be. And that's what we do at the gym. That's what people do when they want to learn online business. That's what people do when they want to learn how to trade, is they do these small things, but they don't give it enough time for it to really start compounding on itself. Trading is all about compound interest with money, but self-improvement is all about compounding on these smaller changes, right? Totally. And all of this requires input of time, money, energy, and it requires them. It's not like a hopefully you get there. No, you have to give it enough time to start going through. Shane's a bright example of not giving up, given enough time, but not everyone needs that much time. We've seen people have a lot faster growth, and we've also seen people in different here's the thing, we have people of all different backgrounds, experience levels, and then also obstacles that they have to overcome. The more that we can link together, not just the 3 of us, but the community in whole and other good influences on your life, right? The more we have an opportunity to compound and help and link up and connect and such together. And so there's really, I want to say this and I'll pass it off to you guys, but there's really 3 things that we say people need is they need a strategy, a system, and support. You can say those 3 words in different ways. You need to have a process, you need to engage with it, and you need to, have a community or a backbone, someone to ask for help or a mentor. I have a list now of words that come in 3s. I think I showed you guys. And it's like everything that we're looking at is triplicate or triune, right? And it's important. We have soul, body, spirit, right? And so we need to address all these different components. But the cool thing is we don't have to do it all today.
No.
We have time to start letting this actually develop correctly.
Well, we do, and we have an analogy a lot towards the gym, and actually, I want to take that a step further with like I'm wildly fascinated and have been for years with bodybuilding, and I've gone through my own transformation, but like when you go to those pro levels, I was even watching an interview today with Hugh Jackman from X-Men. They were asking, well, how did you get so shredded? And he's like, well, by that last few days, like. Well, basically there's this thing you can do where you remove water and like you start like eating things that are going to remove the water, and like don't recommend it, but it's like you're in a constant, those guys are constantly tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and they're going at things like, if my goal is now to compete in a year from now, to hit the stage I want to get in the top 3, I want to get number 1. They're back engineering it from like, some of these guys are back engineering years out already, like thinking if I want to be Mr. Olympia in 5 years from now or 7 years from now, all the things that they need to do. And then they break it down to the like, okay, this is year 5 where I should be. This is year 4, year 3. Okay. Well, they've got cycles, and reality is bodybuilding. They're also adding things to their body, right? But they're tweaking, measuring and managing what they're putting in their body, both anabolical steroids, all that kind of stuff, the food that they're eating, the types of movements that they're making, all of that stuff. And they're breaking it down from a year, quarterly to a month, down to a week, down to a day. And actually, I think it was Stephen Tomini that kind of was asking questions in our community the other day. And it was like, you got like, I want you guys to start thinking bigger. Like, what do you want tangible goal money wise? As we talk about 10 to 20 pips a day, like I was just on a call with a guy who's looking at prosperity movement the other day, and he's actually doing pretty good. He is working with what do you call it, prop firm, and he's been quite successful with it over the last couple of months. And he was telling me, what he kind of sees in his mind, what he's looking to achieve, and he still wants more consistency. That's why he's coming to us, which is awesome. Looking forward to diving deeper. But point is he's already got $1 million like a year focus with prop firm in mind, right? So the interesting thing is like how many people in our community, I want to challenge them right now. Do you actually have a number in a year from now of what you want to be at? Okay, now can you back engineer that by going, okay, from a year, what is like each quarter going to look like for you each week and then day? How are you getting to that number where you understand that if my minimum should be 10 to 20 pips a day, and hey, look, anything over and above that is going to be juice and bonus. Like when you get James, what is it, 300 pips the other day at 50-pound lot size of $75 per pip. That's $25,000 in a session. 600, what was it, 620 pips within 2 sessions or 2 days of trading?
I have an update.
680. Oh, you have an update.
So this week, so I'm just talking this week. Give me 1 second. I have a screenshot here. Let me just do the math. Add Thursday. This is without Thursday afternoon session here, but we hit over 1,000 pips this week.
So $75 lot sizes on that, and that he probably
Imagine
scaled in on some of those. He probably scaled in on some of those. Yeah, and if you guys know what scale in means, I mean he's doubling down probably 2 to 3 times. But let's just say off $75, what are we sitting at there? $75 per pip, over 1,000 pips.
Over $85,000 this week.
Over $85,000. He's done well over $100,000. I'll tell you, because he's scaling in, and you'll learn that term. If you don't know what scaling in means, you'll learn that term on the other side. But that's just insane. Let's go. Go ahead, Travis. You had a thought.
Somebody took the better part of right now till next August. Okay, talking 11 months or 12 months, depending on how you break that down, right? But the better part of a year, just to get really stinking aware and good at copying James's trades. Because I say everyone, almost everybody I talk to is so focused on, and I hate this question. When can I start seeing my returns? Like, what am I going to do next month? How much money am I going to make next month? It's like, dude, this is bigger picture thinking than that. We're talking about larger concepts of how to go and invest and look at the long term. Now, can you see results in the first week and month and stuff? Sure, but it's not going to be the meaningfully impactful thing. So let's stretch it out. And let's say that you are just practicing for a year, and then come next August, your very first month. Now, we're not recommending this. It's not how you should approach it. But imagine this, that even it took you a year to do it, and then August comes, and you go into your live account, you're really stinking aware and good at trading with James on these live calls, and he just plays his trades. The first week of August, which is not even the best week, we have 1,000 pips. If you're at a $50 lot size, that's 50 grand. I know some people listening to us right now do not even make that in a year, and you made that in 3 or 4 hours of trading. That's the concept, the bigger picture that we're trying to paint for you. Now, the best way to get there is through conditioning, right? So just like when you go to the gym, you don't just sit there and watch people for a year and then start lifting weights. You go and do what you can, reasonably, right? And start getting stronger and conditioned, and you grow over time, or you shrink depending on your goals, right? And that's what we do over here, is just let's start you small. And the reason being is because then you can go up by your first $10, and you're not high-fiving, cheersing, and going and getting wasted on the weekends. You're like, I made $10. It's not a big deal, but it's also equally not as big of a deal if you're going down. You're like, oh man, I made a mistake. Guess what? That was a $10 mistake that now you get to learn and create $100,000 billion bajillion dollar system instead, right? Like it's meant to allow you to control those emotions and focus on the task at hand, which is to understand what works and what doesn't work, not just with how you're applying the strategy, but how you're approaching the markets
Yeah.
as well. And
So
so
awesome.
the other day, I think we mentioned this already, but James didn't make as many pips as some of the students trading with him. And it's a very simple reason why. Because when he went to enter, he was late. And one of his cardinal rules is never make a late entry. The stars need to align, and it needs to be simple and easy trading. And so he chose to say, you know what, I can see it on the table. If I enter right now, I could have made more pips, but it's against my rules. I'm not going to do it. And so everyone else followed his rules, were not late, and made a significantly larger amount of pips. And that's why he is the master trader, because last year he total net losses with 18 pips because he refuses to go in unless it is actually what it's supposed to be.
It's
the right
discipline. It's discipline. Yeah.
Right.
It's wonderful. We got to tie this up, and I got one last really quick kind of concept of what I want people to think about while they're listening to this podcast. We're tying this up and we're bringing it home here. We want to help everybody coming through. You're hearing about August Rush. You're hearing about everything that Travis just said about the power behind the discipline and the power behind the community, the power behind what's happening here. We talked a little bit about, we use bodybuilding as an analogy, and we use a lot of times we even talk about like, going to the gym and like weight training and stuff. So here's what I want you to think about in terms of like what you have here at Prosperity Movement, what makes this so darn special. So if we're talking about the gym, first of all, there's not a lot of organizations out there that have like a personal trainer, like mentorship attachment to. You might get some sort of course. So it'd be kind of like reading a book like Body for Life by Bill Phillips or something like that. And then you can go to the gym with that information and then hopefully get the results that you want. Or an online course is the equivalent of that. And that's a lot of what other organizations are doing. Not very many that you can actually jump on the floor in the gym with a personal trainer in front of the charts, right? But let's take this a step further. What we have over here when we're talking about those numbers that Travis just shared, 28,000 pips, lost a total of 18 over a year. What you have now there is not just a personal trainer, but you have a 8-figure coach. Okay, so it's like the Olympians have a coach. They don't just have a personal trainer. They have a weightlifting coach who's been in the business, a coach who's being paid big bucks to actually get them. Like Arnold had Mr. Weeder, like those coaches that were in place are like, we're talking 6, 7, 8-figure earners already, helping those guys get into those positions. And so to get access to that, I always ask people, if you could get access to, like for entrepreneurs, if you could get access to Elon Musk's for Elon Musk for coffee, how much would that be worth? Everybody comes back with invaluable. Okay, take it a step further. To get access to his calendar, that's like you can't put a price on something like that. Okay, now take it a step further. You have now successful coaches that are doing 6, 7, 8-figure earners, and the GOAT himself. I'd say James is like the Wayne Gretzky or the Michael Jordan of trading. You get access to his calendar. You get really stuck, you can jump on with James. Where are you going to find something like that? Most 6, 7, and 8-figure earners, their buy-in is like 50, 60, 70. We got a buddy who we were doing marketing for before this. His buy-in course is $50,000 cash. You don't get access to him. He'll jump on a call with you once a month, $50,000 cash. Over here, $200 to $300 a month, so long as your credit score is above 650. You go find me something where you're going to get that kind of support. You go find me something where you're going to get this type of result. You go find me something where you're going to have students that are getting their entire yearly salary on an all-day call like we did last year in August. Now we're doing 6 calls this year called August Rush because of that. You go find me something like that, and then we might want to go join you. Until then, whatever your decision is, it's not going to change our lives, but it sure as heck can change your life if you make the decision to invest into yourself by just jumping on a call, just going through the blueprint, an hour and a half worth of material. Where can you get that? Completely complimentary. Get yourself started. Go do the due diligence. Put in the work and prepare yourself for success. Go to prosperitymovement.online. Little chat bubble, bottom right hand of the corner. Just message us, blueprint, and boom, you can get started. Jump on a call with one of our success coaches, and let's get you moving and grooving. Enough sitting stagnant. It's not looking good on you. I promise.
Right on. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you here next week. See you on the inside.
Adios.